It's huge.
I wanted to welcome everyone to the February regular meeting. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to have everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next regular meeting will be on March 8th at 7 o'clock. The March Audit of Claims meeting will be held on the third Monday, 3/21 at 5:30 p.m. Executive session may occur this evening if deemed necessary. We have some correspondence from a concerned citizen from an ambulance issue in Big Moose, and Nancy's going to read that to you.
Dear fellow Town of Webb citizens, I've just been informed that the Big Moose Ambulance Company has ceased service, and as a resident of Big Moose Lake, this is very concerning. Many of the residents of Big Moose are elderly and took comfort in knowing that if they needed help, help would come. Now this is gone, which leaves many residents feeling extremely vulnerable. I'm interested to know what your plan is to provide sustainable, ambulance service to the community of Big Moose Lake for now and in the future. And it's signed by a Big Moose resident.
So that's something we all need to start thinking about, as we know. Steamboat Landing. The Town of Webb would like to go to a bid for Steamboat Landing Pump Project Replacement. Sealed bids for the construction of the pump station replacement project will be received by the town clerk at her office until 3 p.m. Local time, Friday, March 11th, 2022. At that time, the bids will be opened and read aloud. All information and bidding documents for the project can be downloaded at the following designated website: www.nyplanroom.com. I would like a motion to go to bid for the Steamboat Landing Pump Station Replacement Project. All bids due on or before March 11th, 2022 at 3 p.m. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go to bid for the Steamboat Landing Pump Station.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call? Yeah, sure. Sorry.
It says it.
No, that says it right here.
Councilman Gardner?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilwoman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. Do we have any discussion on that?
I only have a question about the opening time. So when will they be awarded then?
So, I was just gonna tell you that. So March 11th on that Friday, that works out with me putting it in the paper. And then the next meeting, on the 14th, everything will be ready, on the 21st, excuse me, everything will be ready for you guys to do accepted bid. And that is really just the way it works with this meeting, putting it in the paper, and then allowing him enough time, John Putnam enough time to review.
Okay.
So that March 21st, it's a Monday meeting, you guys will have to do a resolution, the board will have to do a resolution to award the bid,
Okay.
assuming everything goes well with the bidding process.
Any other discussion?
Which may be interesting because everybody's pretty busy right now. See if anybody bids on it.
We will.
Good.
I forgot. I should have done that before. On 1/20/22, I met with Court Clerk Ray Levy and conducted an audit examination of the 2021 court records and docket for Justice Vanetz, and also met with Judge Amber LaFountain and conducted an audit examination for the 2021 court records and docket for Justice Graham. In both cases, the records appeared to be in order. I'd like to have a motion that the town board acknowledges the required examination of court audits that were conducted for Judge Patrick Vanetz on and Judge John Graham on, and found to be satisfactory. A copy of the reports and resolutions were forwarded to the New York State Unified Court System. Is there any, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second it.
Is there any discussion?
That's just, you do that once a year, right?
Yes. Yep. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Gardner?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilwoman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. The capital reserve expenditure. The DPW department purchased a truck in May of 2021 and intended to use the capital reserve funds of $35,000. The money was not transferred. I need a motion from the board that authorizes the supervisor to transfer $35,000 from the DPW reserve account to the DPW equipment line to cover the purchase of the 2021 Ford F-350 with a plow, excuse me, for $55,000 in May 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Go ahead, Kurt. Kurt, second.
Kurt did it?
Do we have any discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Gardner?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilwoman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
5 ayes.
Macaulay Mountain Bike Trail Grant. Resolved that the town of Webb applied for financial assistance from New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, OPRHP, under the Recreation Trails Program for the purpose of funding the development of Macaulay Mountain Bike Trails. Resolved that the town of Webb is authorized and directed to accept these grant funds in the amount not to exceed $250,000 for the project described in the grant applications. Resolved that the town of Webb is authorized and directed to agree to the terms and conditions of the master contract with OPRHP for such development of the Macaulay Mountain Bike Trails. Resolved that the town of Webb is authorized and directed to agree to the terms and conditions of any required deed easement granted to OPRHP that affects title to real property owned by the municipality and improved by the grant funds, which may be duly recorded, public access covenant, conservation easement, and/or preservation covenant, and resolved that the town of Webb authorizes the supervisor to execute the master contract and any amendment thereto, any required deed of easement. I need a motion that the town of Webb supervisor authorizes the supervisor to execute the master contract for any amendment thereto, any required deed of easement. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
Is there any discussion? Nancy, can you do a roll call, please?
Councilman Gardner?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ross? Councilwoman Green, sorry.
Aye. Sorry.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye.
5 of them.
Wastewater treatment plant evaluation and disinfection project amendment number 2. The board was given amendment number 2 for review. Amendment number 2 is for the headworks improvements that include the basic service of design, bidding, and construction administration costs. This amendment number 2 also includes resident project representation, inspection, and additional services needed for the project. The total cost is $357,880, with about $97,000 needed for the design and additional services to be bid ready for the headworks project. I'd like a motion, the board authorizes the supervisor to sign an amendment number 2 for the additional work at the wastewater treatment plant.
I'd make a motion for that.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? Nancy, can you do a roll call, please?
Councilman Gardner?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilwoman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. Changing the audit of claims meeting nights. The board has discussed changing audit of claims to the first Monday of the month versus the third Monday of the month. I'd like a motion that the first Monday of each month at 5:30 p.m. shall be designated for audit of claims. If deemed necessary by the board, we would meet the third Monday of every month, but only as needed. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second it.
Any discussion on that?
Only that do we need to change because you mentioned earlier that it was on 3/21.
So that
So I
would
guess
be,
it wasn't done
It's
by
gonna be,
resolution.
the 7th.
so it would be 3/7.
3/7.
So
3/7 will be the
the
next one.
March audit of claims meeting will be held on 3/7 at 5:30.
But you're still meeting on 3/21 to do those bids. So unfortunately in March we'll be meeting a lot in March. We'll be together a lot.
Oh.
The big reason for that, this whole thing too, is just, when the meetings fall on the Monday after the Tuesday meeting, and then so much time passes before tonight's meeting, it just seems like a lot of things come up between now and then, and it's nice for us to talk just before it, so we can hash out things a little bit more, just before we go into these meetings, so it just seems more appropriate. I think I said that right.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's almost a month.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3 weeks kind of.
Get together.
You know, so.
Anything else?
So,
Yeah.
yes, what did it say, Nancy, the
So the-
meeting?
So on the 31st of March is when John Putnam's gonna be here, and they're gonna do the awarding, possibly awarding of the bid for the wastewater treatment, for the steamboat landing. So we'll have to meet that day, or at least have a quorum to award the bid on that. And that's just how it worked out with advertising the bid.
Understood.
We have a roll call vote?
Councilman Gardner?
Aye.
Councilman Greco?
Aye.
Councilwoman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Ross?
Aye.
Supervisor Baker?
Aye. A payment of audited claims. What, did I miss something? Oops. Hang on, guys. We got it. Nice. Councilman Gardner, you're up.
All right, did you all see Bonnie was contacted earlier this month by a representative of United Way, that she forwarded off to me, and in communicating with them, they're looking to create basically like a section in one of our pathways, our park areas, like a place they put up signs and kind of recommend you to think about things outside of just walking by, skipping, or they just have this for ways to learn together, just born learning trails is what it's called. By playing and exploring, you help young children get ready for success in school and in life. So basically it's just a simple little thing, but they're hoping to do that up here in Old Forge. It's something that doesn't cost anything, so that more or less they're looking for us to agree upon it. If we agree upon it, then we can identify places that could potentially be done later on this year. And the kids come and help them and put the signs in and stuff. So, you know, if it's on a paved area, ideally they've done places where they'll put like places to play hopscotch or whatever, and you know, with the signs there, or just whatever we pick to, they kind of find stuff that fits to that area for parents and kids to engage while they're hanging out and playing. So I don't know how the board feels about that. It seems,
It sounds like a really neat idea. There's 6 different signs.
yeah, this is what they've done in the past. So there's really, I know that there was talk of possibly on the Toby Trail behind the school area there, or possibly down by the playground on North Street. As mentioned by Barb a little while ago. I think either of those places would be a natural fit for it. So you guys want us to continue engaging this conversation.
Yeah, I
then-
think that's really a neat idea.
Then
I think it's fun.
we can set up a meeting and have them come up and probably in the springtime when things melt off a little bit and identify where the place is gonna be.
Sounds good.
Is that, Tommy and I were over at North Street and we noticed the Hildebrandt sign cracked pretty heavily across it. I asked Luke Langworthy about what it would cost to fix it, if it's fixable, and it is fixable, but it's a foam sign, and it should be a PVC sign, so it doesn't crack like that. So it would cost $1,500 to fix and repaint, because if you repaint it, or $2,700 to replace with a PVC material that is not, that's intended to be outside with the cold weather changes and everything you have, so.
That's for the same size and,
I think it's the same size. I asked him to go down there and look for it and what it would either cost to fix or replace.
How much was it to fix again?
1,500.
And 2,700 to replace?
So my recommendation would be to replace it, just because, as he said, and I agree, he could glue it together and put it back together and it's just gonna crack in another spot and potentially down the road here, so. If we were gonna have him do it, it wouldn't happen for 5 or 6 months though, just FYI. So, it doesn't look that horrible, but it's gonna get, it doesn't look great either. So,
Right, right.
pretty good crack. I think I sent everybody pictures.
Yep, saw it.
So,
you wanna just go ahead and do it, replace it?
That PVC stuff lasts
Mhm.
for, right.
my recommendation is let's just go ahead and replace it and get it in the works at least. And you know, I think if we get it done by the summer, it should be fine. You know, maybe it might be sooner, but
Yep.
What was that to replace?
2,700.
Because that would, I'm gonna guess would have to come out of buildings.
Building?
Have it.
So there's that. I guess are we in agreement with that, or I'm not sure how that works.
Have to let the
Yeah.
budget officer see if there's money there to.
Yeah, money there.
Yeah. I'll let you know in the morning.
There you go.
So Bonnie and I did have a conversation with an architect just to get a rough idea of the realm of the lakefront project and kind of get an idea of what that would cost as far as designing plans for a structure of a bandstand and pavilion structure here on the lakefront for potential use of the indoor ice skating rink in the wintertime and summertime possible pickleball court, or if the concerts are outside and it's raining out, instead of it being outside raining, you can go inside and have it in there, but it would just be a covered structure. Ideally open doors that would roll open or something like that. I mean, nothing specific was really done, but in theory, if it was open air in the summer and then in the wintertime, they could roll shut or close shut so that it's sealed in and have covered ice, so it'd be good ice for everybody to skate on. Haven't heard anything back, but basically we have money in the budget we've been putting away for, and just want to see if we have enough to start that planning process at least, so we can at least get a budget together to, you know, go after grants or whatever.
Do you have an idea of size?
No, the skating rink's 120 by 110, or the tennis court area there, that's where it would be going, I would assume. So I don't think it would be that big. We would have to reroute the snowmobile trail around the outside of it, so it would open up all the parking spots there. So if we did it long-wise, then it makes it a lot skinnier, and then you can easily put a pathway through there that won't get ruined with the grass, and can reroute them across the beach in just a different pattern. So seemed doable, but I guess that those will be the specifics we get into once we know if we can
Okay.
get into it. But just wanted to make sure you knew that research and cost of starting the project, and then figuring out what we all like and don't like.
You considering hockey at all? Was it big enough for that? Or?
I mean, you could play hockey in there, it just wouldn't be a full-size hockey rink. It's just not, that's, I mean, that would
They
be
play
huge.
hockey up the inlet, so it's.
It would be probably as big, if not a little bit bigger than that rink, I would say. So I would say it's actually gonna be a little bigger.
Because that's certainly been asked.
Yeah, I mean, my son's up there right now playing hockey. There's a great little program going on that's
Yeah.
phenomenal, so
Right.
exciting, you know. There's a lot of kids, actually. There's 60 kids that signed up for that. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. And they got a ton of equipment donated up there. It's awesome. The other thing too is that the ski lift, same thing as the lakefront. You know, we have some money set aside that we're putting towards the ski lift, but we really need to get an engineer to go in there and figure out the cost of the cement and how many poles and all those details and stuff like that. And a little bit of research, found out Stevens, New Hampshire, did Gore's ski lift, the whole engineer process of it. I didn't know if I was going to reach out to them and again just get an idea of what that would roughly cost for figuring out cost and the beginning process of it to see where we're at, and so we have an idea of where we need to be starting to save up to, I guess, or if we're at a place. My thought process is if we can create shovel-ready projects, you're not going to qualify for grants unless we get shovel-ready, and we're not going to do this without getting grants. So if we do have enough money in place, it'd be nice to have, or start working towards.
Do you anticipate a cost for someone to give quotes on prices for stuff like that? I mean, it's a little more involved than just a building, you know, because they've got to go up the hill and...
Correct, yeah. So I just don't even know where to begin. So I
Right.
guess I just want, I haven't even reached out to them, but just more or less just start a conversation to find out what range are we talking about here. Are we,
Right.
you know, if they can just kind of give us a ballpark. I'm sure it's going to be a pretty wide ballpark, but
Kurt, is this an additional lift?
this would be an additional lift. So,
Is the money in reserves, Nancy, would you know, is that something if we had to use it for engineering or consultant or
It's
something?
labeled for equipment
Equipment only,
Okay.
From a college.
so
from college.
right. So we just have to get an idea here so we can
right,
figure out what.
What
Gonna
we're
have to
gonna
start
need.
sooner or later on it to
Right.
figure out the cost on it. So.
right, okay.
Well, they would be able to, I'm assuming they would be able to tell you just with a phone call that it's gonna cost them to come here, and it's gonna cost how much, to,
Right.
you know, give you some ideas of what you gotta do.
So more so just start the conversation. That's
Right,
what
right.
I'm planning on doing here coming up in the future. So I know that that's a bigger process and it's going to take a little longer and time for all that stuff and money and funding and all that. But at least we should know what we're shooting for.
Have I been? No.
Oh.
No, but I certainly will.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I just found this information out. Somebody gave it to me that
Yeah.
I asked Stevie about the company and he said, yeah, that'd be great people to reach out to. So it really just a small conversation. That's all that was. So. And then the photo op, February 22nd at 1:30 at Macaulay Mountain for the small ones coming, and the county was invited. WN80K, Stefanik, Herkimer County, AFTA, Chip Kiefer for CAA, and the town board is invited to come up there and get a picture with a big check for the grant.
You got it covered.
So whoever wants to be there at 1:30 on that day would be greatly appreciated.
He's gonna look good, isn't he?
Yeah,
And last-
it's gonna look good, yeah.
Hope I'm not the only one there. Please don't do that.
Raging good for you.
I think I've got it.
AFTA
planned that day.
has been reached out to with interest of people wanting to bid on the trails system. So previously we didn't know if we were going to have people available this year. It seemed like a lot of people were booked up, but people have reached out to them. So they're basically going to start prepping a scope of work or a bid process.
Oh, cool.
And then in hopes that the state's still waiting for the funds to come in from the federal government, but assuming that comes in and the money's in place, we'll hopefully be putting out for bid
Nice.
the first trail up there for the summer. So that's it.
Oh, awesome.
Tommy? You're up.
Yeah, my first meeting last month, I brought up the idea of renovating our Hildebrandt Center down there and asking to permission to do the research to look into that and see what we could do because of the turf and that turf down there is not, it's made to be permanent, it's made to stay down, it's not meant to be rolled and picked up, and some of the things we have going on allow a really small window for it to be picked up and go down. So I did some research, got into it, and basically what we want to do is ask for permission to apply for a grant to put a whole new floor down over the concrete that will be, it can be picked up and put back down, but it will for the most part stay down. There's really no reason for it to be picked up. It's a multi-purpose playing surface that can be removed if necessary. It's got a shock pad underneath it that makes it safe for people of all ages, kids, adults, senior citizens, elderly. It's designed for all sorts of athletic events: soccer, volleyball, basketball, baseball. You can even do roller hockey in there. And then it's also designed for trade shows, concerts, public events, graduations. The system itself is strong enough to hold forklifts, trucks, and any aerial lifts for any sort of events we hold there. Initially, with going through the quote process, the biggest thing is the floor. But with the whole grant we're looking for, and it's a full grant. It's not a match grant. It's not a reimbursement grant. It's just something we applied for with a foundation called the Wattis Foundation. Their statement is, this is from their website: research has shown that participation in athletic programs has both short-term and long-term benefits on a child's life. The Edwin J. Wattis Foundation is committed to funding programs that teach those life skills to youths age 5 through 18. Our mission is to enhance experiences for youths in the Oneida and Herkimer counties by providing financial resources to qualified organizations and educational scholarships to participants. We would be seeking approximately $131,000 to do the whole 100 by 150 area, and it would be done in this floor right here. It's basically that pad goes underneath it, and this would make it a gym floor that can be used in multiple ways. The lining of the field preliminarily it'll leave room for expansion, but we would be doing a full indoor soccer field, so it would basically replace what we have right now that's with the netting around it. And then there would be 2 basketball, volleyball courts. Yeah, this is a picture. I mean, you can kind of see it a little bit, but it's a soccer field a long way, basketball horizontally on it with volleyball in it, and that will allow for tennis courts, pickleball. I mean, we can do hockey in there, free skate. I know there's a bunch of issues with toddler time, and we have things going on down there, and it's on this concrete floor. There's camp in the summertime where the facility is used for like a backup plan for if it's raining or whatever, and again, it's just concrete. As far as the other stuff that goes into it that needs to be looked into, so the floor is the most important part. The hoops, the volleyball nets, the soccer goals, and the padding will all allow for a usable space. And why do I feel this is important? I mean, we have so many great outdoor activities here. Like Kurt said, that Fern Park up there is awesome. We put a word out, and there's 6 kids want to do stuff here. People want to do stuff, and right now the only indoor facility we really utilize is Park Ave, and the battle over there is just town office. We shouldn't be mixing over here, and it's booked for what we already have going on. Whether it's TRX or some basketball, I think is being played a little bit over there, and really I don't even allow my kids to play there during the season because that floor is so unsafe when it comes to shin splints and things like that. It's just not a very good usable space. And also, I've grown up here. I've lived here my whole life. The Hildebrandt Center, I mean, I was a kid, I was a teenager, an adult, now I'm a coach, and the place has been empty my whole life, with the exception of the events we had there. This floor will have no effect on the events we hold there. And the portable system we're doing in there, everything can be moved. We have, it can be taken out and put in so the storage room that's down there, we took pictures of it, and you can see this is the storage room. It's got our big lift in there, and then that whole space right there, that storage room is used to store the turf that's down. So it makes the storage room kind of pointless in itself, because we have this turf and if anybody goes down there now, it's like rolled up, it's trip hazard everywhere, and it's not wide enough, it's not big enough, and if you fall in that netting, you're hitting your head on concrete. It's just not workable. These are some other pictures that came along with it that this floor can do. It's got there's cars on it. It's been used for docks, garage flooring. There's even snowmobiles on it. This is this is that floor that's lined. That's not ice hockey. That's roller hockey, volleyball, all sorts of activity. And the good thing about it too is, you know, in finding a couple different quotes, some of them aren't made for volleyball. Like this one's tougher on your legs and stuff like that. And so you kind of upgrade it, and this is more comfortable for you. And this one also is not weather dependent, meaning with heating the pavilion, you know, the Hildebrandt Center, we don't really necessarily need to do that off the bat, because where does that money come from? I do understand it's, you know, I have quotes and stuff coming to see how much it would cost to heat it, but in the short term, we don't have to. So, when it gets into here with, you know, our people say our school, why can't you do stuff with the school? Look, I've been coaching up here for 7 years, and our gymnasium is also our auditorium, and it's also severely undersized, outdated, and it was made in 1966, and in itself, it's booked nonstop. We finish our season here shortly, and then the play starts, and you can't get in there because the play is going on. Then you have the band concerts going on, the chorus concerts going on. So it just makes it really hard to get in there, and it's hard to get in there now for any open gyms. It's just really difficult when it comes to, you know, basically just state law and liability reasons. They just are trying to keep people out of there. You know, the mental health thing, I mean, everywhere, it's kids have nothing to do. I mean, they've been, especially during the pandemic, you've been indoors and in their rooms, bedrooms, video games, and when you're not offering other options, I feel like we're doing a disservice to our youth here. And, you know, I really think it'll help get people out and about if this place is just open. We do have some things in there, you know, the current events we have in there, the Pink Ribbon Riders, which, when I understand, I think this is their last year. I've heard that.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, so whether or not that's the case, that's the last weekend in February. Just roll the hoops off. Take the nets away, and here's your space. Same thing with Snowfest, which is not happening this year, right? And then the Father's Day car show is outdoor, antique show indoor, lay their tables, do what they have to do. Gun show, same thing indoor, set up your tents. Columbus Day soccer tournament, right? This is a huge time for us. Everybody, you know, locals, we all get together. There could be weather, all sorts of things going on. Now you're gonna have kids hanging out and having things to do while they're in there, versus, you know, maybe going in the woods or getting in the car and driving around or doing the wrong things. So it really shouldn't affect any of our events in any way. In the near future with the place, it will run just like it is, as it is now, volunteer based, you know, where we'll make sure we have a list of approved people that are watching the facility. It's not going to just be an open door policy. Yeah, and with insurance, sign a release form, you know, same thing we do now to be able to participate. Down the road, this could lead to revenue as well, you know, where maybe our town and web school students are free to use it, but maybe we charge a subscription or something for others to use it. I know for us, we have a tournament up at SUNY Potsdam. They have 3 courts up there. There's going to be 40 teams there. Okay, and I've already booked our hotels, because last time we went there, we had to stay a half an hour away because there's no hotels, because the hotels are booked, because there's 40 teams there. You know, that's 10 kids a team. That could, I mean, it's not going to be, but it could be 400 families staying there, which to me is something that could provide revenue for us, and really fill our hotels and stuff in the shoulder seasons and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, when it comes to heat and electric, you know, the floor wouldn't be down, you know, until we could get into that. But also, the heat thing, you know, that building is supposed to be heated. During our times with Andy Getty, we were down there to see, we were looking at what kind of hoops, whether they would come from the ceiling or the portable hoops, because the ones that come from the ceiling usually are better quality. And so we looked into that, and that roof load is not adequate enough because of I have the details right here. The snow load of the roof is 60 pounds per square foot. When you turn it into, when it's not heated, that bumps up to 79 on the snow load, and it needs to be at 60. When you heat the building, it brings it down to that 58 per square foot. So really, the building should be heated anyway. According to the builder at Tioga Construction, the guy who built it, I spoke to him, his name is Jason. he's saying the same thing, and Andy, I have a letter right here from him that is also stating that building was meant to be heated. So we really should be doing that anyhow. And lastly, you know, I
have a question.
go for it.
What makes this building safe to be in right now? It's not heated and the snow load's not right.
That's,
All right, then that building needs to be closed down until we look into it.
yeah,
That's not right. You can't have people in that
It's-
building
it's,
if the snow load's not right and we're not heating it. Does that, anybody agree with me with that?
I do agree.
it's not illegal because
Dangerous,
it
though?
was up to code then. But if it's not being heated, yes, it's not,
It's
it's that
dangerous.
far off on it. So,
Doesn't that
Definitely
matter how
talk to
much
Andy
snow's
Getty.
on it?
what's that?
Doesn't that matter how much snow's on it?
Well, that's
Wouldn't
the
that
point.
matter?
That's,
That's what I know,
Yeah.
but you'd have
Right.
to see how much snow you can put on it before you
We can't.
can't
yeah.
anymore. I mean, all summer it doesn't have any weight on it.
Right.
It's
And it probably doesn't have much on it now.
It's the winter season where there's the concern, and you know, we've all been down there. We've seen the snow pile up and then
Right.
you know, and then sit there, because if it's heated, it's a metal roof, right? Goes right up. If not heated, it builds up.
Well,
so
that's an Andy Getty
Yeah.
thing. I mean,
That's a
it
concern.
is,
That's-
it is a concern. So
so
that's,
we need to reach out to him.
that needs to be looked at first and foremost. And I believe that Andy recommended looking at being able to shore it up on the inside to make it a higher load to heat that building, just for the sake of heating it. I'm gonna guess that's why in the past it hasn't been. It's like heating a barn. It's a lot of money to heat the building. So that, I'm sure, is why it hasn't been
It's like
just left on.
$200, $300 a day.
Right.
That's what it costs.
Well,
like
and
for
in the
snow.
past, it was the ice skating rink.
Yeah.
So you had to
Right.
deal with the Snowdeo, Snowfest, do the ice skating rink in between. Global warming, melted down, so it's been it's just been not used correctly as a building.
And
Not used correctly.
As what, how it can function as a building versus, doesn't need to be an ice skating rink anymore. We need to get more, like he's talking, get the heat on, get more, readily available
It's-
things in there.
Yeah.
Right. We're,
Tommy, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're
I just
good.
was,
You're
it was a
good.
concern, so.
I just, you
Go
know,
ahead.
I'm just passionate about what my kids could do. You know,
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah,
see
no,
what
I
these
am
kids are
too.
doing.
I just, when you just said that, it
They
just.
drive
concerned me.
around in circles, and there's nothing for these kids to do. Anytime
Oh, I
I open
agree.
the gym when I'm allowed to, I have all these kids show up, and I just, I love that we have our mountain. I love that we have our trails and all that stuff for these kids to do. But like, what indoor activities do we offer anybody here? I mean, it's not even just youth, it's adults too, I mean, so we have people that want to go out and do physical activity, and we have no space to offer them. And we have this big empty building sitting there that's been neglected, in my opinion, for 20 years. To me, it's just being used as a space to rent out, to host events that do boost tourism. We realize it's awesome, it's great. Snowdeo is a killer for us. I have a place in the little town. But I think it can be used for more, and this floor makes the place interchangeable. And this floor is not weather dependent. We could have the heat at the minimum heat it requires for the snow load. We can have it set at 50 or 55 degrees, whatever it is. That might change the heat cost, the $200, $300 a day, if it's set at that temperature. And I do have a mechanical engineer. I've talked to Corey Helmer. He's also going to give me a quote on what he thinks it would cost to heat the place during the course of the winter when it comes to that. But as we're finding out, unless we reinforce it or we just heat it, and we can find money moving forward, the place is even more so not usable. So I wasn't looking to find that out. That came up when it came to Wayne and
But
Beckingham
Tom,
and Andy
what
Getty.
you
weren't
said,
they?
we're talking more than just winter. We're talking 365 days a year. So you're talking just winter right over here's issues, but we're looking at the whole year. So that brings additional capability for kids around
Yeah, soccer
the
tournaments.
whole year, not just during the winter.
Yeah.
Like the soccer tournament.
Okay, wait a minute. You guys, we need to stop for a minute because we need to finish here and then we can go to you guys. Tommy, you can go ahead and finish,
I'm
please.
set. There you go.
Okay, Barb, you're up.
Make it happen.
Thank you, guys.
so, Kurt and I both heard from Don Hall regarding the housing. He is our housing consultant today. And he has communicated with the appraiser, Don McHarris, that Bonnie and I met with at the site for Railroad Ave last Wednesday, maybe, was it? He's provided Mr. Harris with the desired approach parameters, and he's asked him to send the mapping and survey, which Don will do tomorrow morning. We also know that draft site plans are underway, and they are awaiting the elevations, I assume, from Will Hollister. Is that correct? Will Hollister would have the
believe so,
elevations?
yeah.
So they're still waiting for those to come in. He recommends that the housing committee meet informally to vet the drafts of the site plans that are being worked on, so that we can vet them before bringing them to the public. And Bonnie, we will make you aware when that meeting occurs. That's going to be with the architect, engineer, Don. I doubt the appraiser would come to that. He's just going to give a quote. Bob Kelly, excuse me, and Kurt and myself. So stay tuned. We are moving forward. Please be sure to let people know we are working on housing. I keep seeing stuff on Facebook and hearing through the grapevine. We are pursuing all different factions of housing, whether it be apartments, and once we get these drawings, Kurt's going to have a website developed so that people can see and be able to give input on what we're doing and have a better understanding of the process there. We're also still pursuing the short-term rental law, which we did meet with the attorney here less than 2 weeks ago, and so they're coming out with draft number 9. So we have not tabled that. We continue to work on that as well. Cap 21 also is working on multiple different options to pursue housing in the town of Webb. I met the school committee with Diane Haru and Rex Germer on Tuesday morning, and we were given the go-ahead for the use of the former Hildebrandt House for Sharp. So I met with Scott Gaffney and Mike Gardner on Wednesday morning to go over the necessary renovations to make it handicap accessible. So Mike said that his crew from school can do the bulk of the work. Scott will offer assistance from his crew for plumbing needs or whatever other incidental help they might need. Mike is going to provide a cost estimate to Scott for us, Bonnie. The town is responsible for any costs associated for materials, but the school is going to do the work. So there's no, we're not paying them to do the work.
Okay.
Both men are looking at options for an aluminum ramp for the entry as opposed to building one out of treated lumber. That way, if Sharp has to pick up and move at some point in the next years, that should be able to go with them or for whatever purpose. So the projected date for Linda Grace to begin moving her program in is May 1st, which I already talked to her and she's pretty excited about that.
Barb, the Health and Wellness Fund, I'm sure would be interested in helping with that.
Well, Mary Moore was part of the
Sure.
original meeting with these guys to go through the house and make sure that it was going to work for them. So she and Linda work hand in hand on all this stuff. Mary's one of their volunteers too. So thank you. A little tidbit I learned from Jackie Englert, our rec director, about the summer's school reimbursement program. I don't know if you guys were aware of this.
She told me to.
Yeah, in all my years on the board, I've never heard of this. Holly actually filled out forms for this when she was the rec director how many years ago. But Jackie fills out paperwork for this reimbursement from the school. So all of the expenses for summer camp go into this. Any revenues are removed, and then the school pays half of that cost. So since 2014, we've recouped $57,000, over $57,000 from the school for that program. So that's just an interesting little, one more shared service that we do with the school, which I think is great. So I just wanted to share that. On Wednesday, next week, 2/15, a community forum is being held at the library and via Zoom. The purpose of the forum was generated from a conversation with Rex and Diane at that same meeting about the school housing and mental health provider through the neighborhood center that's not only available to school children but to the general population as well. The service is underutilized and perhaps underpromoted, and we realized that there might be other things that the community could be made aware of or have easier access to. So The forum came together with the help of Linda Wheel, who serves as a de facto social worker at the library, and along with her other duties, and Robin Hill. And we sent out 39 invitations to all the many different services available in our communities to participate in a developing single location for all regional services to be available to our communities. Each participant is going to be given a few minutes to tell us what their organization represents, what they're currently working on, and any concerns that they have. Mike Farmer and I will facilitate the forum. Janice Buds will record and take notes and collect the data, and then offer suggestions on focus groups to hopefully continue the conversation, but most importantly, to develop that shareable database that we'd like to have so that everybody has that single location where they can go when they ask at the information center, or any independent person can go to this one location to find whatever services they're looking for in our community. Fire, and obviously we know how to dial 911, but there's just all these different organizations that are going to join together for this. So I'm very excited about that. Let's see, and we have participants from Herkimer County, Utica, Forestport, Webb, Inlet, and I hope that that will broaden as we collect information from these folks, that there's more that we will get information from as well. So that is all that I have. And Nancy, you can have that.
Oh, thank you.
Good paperwork.
Mike, you're up.
Well, thank you, Bonnie. I guess the first thing I'd like to bring up is a little bit of an update to the board on the wastewater treatment plant. Nancy, I guess if I could ask you, just read what Corey sent to me, and then I can explain a few things, if you don't mind. If you don't mind.
No, I got it right here. Okay, so this is from Corey to Mike. So Mike just wanted to give you some cliff notes from our phone call. The revision amendment number 2, which we voted on a few minutes ago, which added a column of total project costs and shows addendum number 2 as just the cost increase. The total cost is the same as the one I sent before. So the board has a bond resolution will be required if the town is borrowing money. This can be done with the ban. The total project opinion of probable cost is $1.86 million, which includes the headworks and disinfection system. The town has already paid the $87,645 for the design of the disinfection already. With the $1 million grant, the town would need to come up with an additional $772,355. My thought is, if you could do a bond resolution for the entire wastewater upgrades, the amount was mentioned at $4.4 million, but only take band out of what you currently need for the projects you want to move forward. The town would receive an email from the DEC indicating what information will be needed to execute the grant. DEC is waiting approval from the OGS. Once DEC receives the approval from OGS, they expect the contracts to be executed within 90 to 120 days. We did get a letter from the comptroller saying we got the money. A secret will be needed to be completed and can be a 60-day process. This should be started as soon as possible. One of the first steps is the town to declare their intent to be the lead agency. The town would then send letters out to all involved agencies. We can assist with the entire secret process, declaring intent to be a lead agency. If all agencies reply back and they have no issues, then you don't need to wait for the entire 30 days. Completion of the secret would most likely be required to secure the grant. As I mentioned over the phone, to complete the design and get the headworks project bid already, the approximate cost is $97,000. The letter should be sent out to DEC requesting extension for disinfection. The draft letter was sent to the town, which I think we have to sign. And that's it.
So the reason for my phone call and to have Corey kind of summarize this is, first of all, as a board member, I typically don't get really involved with all the grants and all this kind of stuff. And with Bonnie being new here, there's a process involved here. So I just kind of wanted the whole board to understand where we're at and how we're getting there, because I'm just learning a lot of this myself. So I did ask a couple questions. We did receive $1 million grant for this deal, so out of the 1.86 million, 86 million, we've already paid some money, but with that $1 million, we have to come up with $250,000, which can be part of the money that we borrow. So we don't have to out of pocket have that. But we really don't have to bond $4 million, which we thought in the beginning, because we didn't know a lot of things at the time. We just had to, they said, borrow a lot of money or ask for in the band, which is a bond anticipation note, you need to ask for a lot of money, not necessarily that you're borrowing that much, but to be confirmed that you can borrow the money, so you can further into all this process of this. So that's where we're at. So we really don't have to borrow that much money. I think we can borrow a lot less money, which depends on interest rates and all that stuff, however, with numbers and all those things, which again, I'm learning. So the only other part of this is, for the board, is we've talked about the roof project, which just off the cuff is a couple $300,000. Probably because I don't think we have that in the districts or anywhere there that should probably be involved in this.
I thought we had money toward the
No, you
roof
have,
side.
you have reserve fund.
We do have enough for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna have to be,
That'll take all of it, the reserve will use all that. will be
okay, we
used.
do have enough in there, so that helps also. So anyways, that's kinda where I was going with everything that. Get it?
Awesome. I'm trying to understand how
I
that
know, it's
wastewater
a lot, I'm
treatment.
sorry.
No, you're good,
it's a
thank
lot.
you. Anything else?
Yes, I do have a couple things. I'm a little lost. I know I've been talking to Nancy quite a bit about this. I'm a little lost on, we were supposed to do something with email addresses so that we have our own.
I have it all.
And I have
You
nothing.
just have to come down and
Okay, I
sit
will.
with me and
Thank you.
get your
You
email.
can set us up? Oh, good.
Sure. I have everything, you have to get the Zimbra account on your home computers.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
It's easy. Yes, come see me. Everybody has an email. We have
Okay.
all the passwords. Just come down.
And just an FYI, I guess, this is a personal thought. I've been told that we're gonna tear this front sign down and move it or replace it or do something.
First I heard of it.
Okay.
Great.
I've heard rumor of that, but I would really like to see someday in this, so that those guys don't have to come out here and put them stupid plastic things on the front of the building. I'd love to see some sort of a digital sign out there. I know that's been a little shaky for some people, but I just think it would be
We
great.
don't allow moving, slashing,
Well, can we
any of that
change
in our
that?
It's
zoning.
Every
against your
community you go
zoning,
to has
Councilman
that.
Ross.
Can we change it? God,
Change
it's
your
so
zoning.
nice to have that stuff. I'm sorry, it's me,
Yeah,
personal.
I hear ya.
And the only other thing is, I just want to keep the warning out that in the pavilion, June 24th, 25th, and 26th, we're going to be having that National Vintage Snowmobile Show. It's going to be a very huge event, so just I want to keep the community warned of that it should be a very large, wonderful event. So
That's awesome.
we can
Yes.
just hope that it goes very well.
And don't forget that what tags on that is the trailer storage. No.
Correct, that's going
You have to make sure
to,
that,
we won't have that parking lot open until after that event. So,
for boat trailers.
for boat trailers, so. And that's all I have.
Okay.
So can I back up on your request about the sign? Because honestly, seriously, it is in our zoning that we don't allow that,
I
but
know.
we're also supposed to revisit that review that's this close to being done. I just talked to Andy about that the other day. Let's look at changing that if we need to, for specifics, you know? I mean, because we can break our own laws, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Right, no,
You know, so maybe it's something that if it's constant and not something that's rotating, flashing, you know.
so they can do stuff with their phones and everything now, changing that.
Changing
Right.
it.
Right, no, I don't disagree. That's one of those things that just never got changed because it didn't. That's all, you know.
Just a thought. Every community you go through just about has something, inlet up at, you look in their fire hall, they've got that sign out there.
Right.
But,
All right, you ready for me?
yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Mr. Chuck Betts came in this week with his 2022 Piston Bully 100 Trail Pro quote that he would like to go ahead and purchase this. It is a price of $262,000. An estimated trade-in on his Piston Bully 200 is $20,000. And I just wanted to let you guys know that that was happening. It's in his budget, and I guess it was
Right.
approved before.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to tell you that Chuck came in and he's on that. Next I met with a woman from Utica. Her name is Staley Kraus, and she's a certified ISR instructor. It's a swim program for kids 6 months to 6 years old. She's worked with many families in Old Forge before, and she's talking with Water's Edge to incorporate her program into our area. And I have copies of this information if anybody's interested, and I will be handing it out because I thought it was a really neat thing to bring to the area. Tomorrow I have a meeting with Daniel Kelleher, Beth Phillips, and Matt Kendall, and they're from the Adirondack Park Agency. Matt Martin from Old Forge Woodlands LLC. This meeting will be to discuss a map amendment application to North Street. So it'll be a map amendment application. I do not know a lot about that, and I will know much more tomorrow. So if you want to come hit me with questions on that tomorrow, great, because I will know more. I met with Sean Finster, Michelle Robgar, both from National Grid, about the electrical at the steamboat landing. Scott Gaffney was in on that as well. So we have a decision to make. The wire that goes from the road to our, what is it called?
Pump station.
Thank you, our pump station. It has to go from a phase 1 to a phase 3. The phase 3 is much heavier than the phase 1. So it means it's a heavier load. So there's a pole out there like this. Okay, and we can either
Pole demo.
brace it like this, which is not on our property. As a property owner, I would not approve of that. So we have that option, or we have an underground option, which either way has to be spoken to the landlord about this. Scott and I believe that it would be a better option to go underground. When you do go underground, it's in a conduit, so if something's wrong, you just open the end, pull the wire out, fix it, and then you can feed it back through rather than digging up the land. I learned that much. Before I reach out to the property owners and ask them about phase 1 or 2, do you want me to look into both options, or do you want me to look into option number 2?
Is it in the scope of the town to do the digging and conduit and the work for it, as far as the prep work goes?
I believe so.
I'm in favor for the burying it, because one less thing to go wrong.
And that's the
Definitely bearing it.
recommendation from the department head, right?
The department head's recommendation was to go underground. National Grid gave us 2 options. They like the underground one as well. It's just a little bit more, it's more expensive. Do you want me to get pricing on that before I do it, or do you want me to just look at the underground option?
I think the underground makes more sense.
It's probably the right way to go, unless it's astronomical. I mean, if they're talking crazy numbers, but I'm assuming we're just digging, laying the pipe, and then they're gonna drag the wire through it, pull it through it, or so.
When you were on site, because I do know that Scott, when I was over there with Scott, he said that underneath the pavement, there is conduit, it's large conduit, that probably that area doesn't have to be dug up.
Under 28, right? Talking about-
Now, I don't know that, I'm talking about the driveway that goes down to the steamboat landing, that's all, that has conduit underneath there.
Okay.
But we can't dig up 28, it's not, we don't have to go under 28.
No, the pole's on
Right.
the other
Okay.
side.
Right. So it would go, yeah, this side down under,
Right.
so it might not be that big a deal if that conduit is there.
All right, then I'll look into that.
I
Perfect.
think so.
And I
The main
think,
reason for this is because that pump station's getting replaced and it's gonna be bigger, better, all the above.
when it was built, Water's Edge wasn't there, which added a ton of, yeah, it's getting used a lot more than it was.
Well, and
Nan-
it's breaking down weekly,
Right.
so.
Yeah,
It's a mess.
I won't forget you this time.
Okay,
Nancy,
cool.
you're up.
So I need a resolution, CAP 21 would like a raffle license for 2022, so I need a resolution to that, to give them the raffle license.
So moved.
I'll second it. Is it Cap 21 or? is
All
it
in favor?
Living 80?
Aye. Living 80K.
Aye.
And I got a letter today from not Cap 21, CAA. Town Board, CAA unfortunately had to cancel 2 winter events so far, Winter Carnival and Snowfest, due to extenuating circumstances. We are excited to start planning and promoting our annual St. Patrick's Day Parade for Friday, March 18th. CAA is requesting permission to put on the event. Once we receive the approval, CAA will contact the Townwood Police, move forward. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. So the question is, are you allowing, not allowing, I guess, are you allowing the St. Patrick's Day Parade?
It's outside, have at it.
Yeah. Decided.
I think it's time.
Okay,
It's time.
we'll tell them in the
If
morning.
you're scared, then you won't go, that's all.
Okay.
I think as far as Snowfest, if I may, you're still gonna see some things going on. I just don't think that it's gonna be at the pavilion, but,
They did reserve the dates at the pavilion.
oh, good.
The other day they
Good.
did. If they changed it, they might have.
Maybe
but
some things.
They're
No,
set
there
up
was
there.
one of the manufacturers definitely still wanted to come, so they talked about having it, so I don't know where it's at.
Yes, they are. They reserved the building for 2 days.
Good, 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 good.
Okay, I'll tell them. That's all I have. Thank you.
Town attorney, anything?
Town attorney has nothing
Oh,
today.
that's right, he's not here. All right, now. Ready, set, go. Linda?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
How many people on the highway department, including Casey?
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, it's not like a pop quiz. It's
Yes, it
more like
is.
Well, that was for me, I was like,
No,
oh.
sorry.
Um,
Give,
Probably 10-ish.
yeah,
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. That's all I'm thinking, Valentine's Day. It,
If you call tomorrow, I can give you.
Yeah, we can give you a count of
Call me
them.
tomorrow, because I'd
That's
hate to
cute.
miss anybody on Valentine's Day.
No.
That would be awful.
they work hard this time of year. Thanks.
You bet.
Hello. Back to the pavilion. Just in lieu of trying to get the mats down for the turf over the past 3 months. We started for Christmas break in December to try to get it down. Cold, COVID hit. We're able to put it down. We gotta get a lot of people to put it down. COVID hit again. We finally just got it down like 2 weeks ago, of which it's in mayhem right now. It's not safe for the kids to play on. His proposal's perfect we would have had it down. We could have gone in when COVID was, granted COVID hopefully will not be here forever, but in the 2 week window that we had to go in, we could have just went in and played soccer, come out, close it down for the 2 weeks, the next COVID, come out, do the Snowfest, because I've been there for the Snowdeo, again, take the ice skating rink down. Snowfest, you gotta get scramble. But if we have the floor in there to just do multi-events, it's not only gonna help the very littles, the very seniors to walk. It's just, it's an awesome avenue that I wish we could have done years ago, honestly, because this turf it's ridiculous. And we can't get it, because of the heat, it doesn't set right, because the heat is not on, and we can't get it flat enough for the kids to actually have an enjoyable time. And in 2 weeks' time, we have to pull it up for a pink ribbon, to put it back down, to now, if Snowfest is gonna happen, to pull it back up. So,
And it's not meant for that at all.
and it's not, and like, you gotta have like 3 people in this town honestly know how to do it. You have the handful of people that can do it, help, not do it, but there's 3 people in this town that know how to strategically place it. And I think it would be much more optimal if we could have another surface for us to do so many more things in this town.
I don't think there's anybody on this board that objects to what's that surface in that area at all. I really don't. I think we think what Tommy has presented is really a great option for our town.
That foundation, the Wattis Foundation there, they have a deadline of February 17th to get your quotes in, follow the town procedure, all that stuff. They meet monthly. It's their monthly deadline. So it's not like it's, you can't go into March or April. My thing, the reason that I was asking for permission with Daniel's help here to apply for the grant is because you don't know what comes up. Maybe this foundation spends 6 figures in February, and maybe in March they say, hey, look, we just sent this amount of money towards, I don't know, Little Falls, West Canada, and we don't want to put this much money in again. We'll do this or that. The biggest thing is the floor. You know, the other stuff it's in there so it's usable and it's updated and they're willing to donate. We have no idea if they're gonna say yes, no, partial, you know, whatever the case may be, but the biggest thing is the floor. I mean, that's what we wanna try and get is approved to apply for the grant. That's what I was trying to do here, was
So I have a quick
have
question
that.
on that. I don't know, Nancy, you might be able to answer this. When we do a grant like that, say we approved it, and he wants to get that floor, do we have to, for the procurement policy, do we have to get bids on that? So you'd have to get 3 bids on
three
it?
quotes.
Okay.
And I have
So you have to,
so.
you have to do a resolution.
A
that you really wanna-
resolution?
That you wanna move forward with this.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. I
There's
just-
bid specs that we have to mail out. It's a major process.
It gets a little
Doable,
bit involved.
doable. We have certain things we have to do. We just
Right,
can't say to the
that's what I'm
guy,
asking.
bring it in next week, we're ready to roll. 'cause
And
it's
we
all
have
done.
100%.
Yeah.
That's just one. So the other question was, is when you guys, back whenever, Holly, I'm sure you were involved with this, but when they asked for the turf so that you can play soccer, this floor looks like it's more or less a hard floor. You still need to have turf down there if you're gonna play soccer.
No, you.
No, it's the cushion, there's a cushion.
Okay, all right. just-
Yeah, this is it's made for that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, all sorts of activity. Yeah.
I mean, I could probably come up with a zillion questions, but
No,
I'm
you're fine.
flow here.
Yeah.
So Tom, is there a kind of when you have to say to these folks here, yes or no?
I mean, I think, you know, I'm new. You know what I mean?
Is there-
I know,
when is your
I know
window?
there's a process and all that
When
stuff.
is your
but,
window that says, I have to have a yes or no so that I can go forward and get the quotes that you need?
That February 17th is the date to apply for the grant where you get all our stuff. I mean,
tonight,
Daniel can.
Tonight, do you need a yes or no to do
No,
that?
it's monthly, and
They meet
this
monthly.
this is something that, when the board is given information like this, we have all talked about this, we're all in favor of doing this.
Okay.
But there's a process, and that's what Nancy just started to say, and this is a monthly revolving grant. So I'm not going to feel pressured into doing it tonight because Tom sees the 17th as the date that he would like to do this. Again, I think it's a great idea, I want to do it, but there's a lot of questions, and what Tom came to us was not a floor, it was all of this. So we need to know what we're looking at, and when we start talking about use with that building, and also the school, when I went to my school meeting the other day, the AD is talking about buying equipment also for use in that building. We need
No,
to
that's
sit
not.
down.
No, that's not.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
excuse me, I talked to him and John Swick in the school the other day, so that is it.
They have their own wish list that they're working with the Wattis Foundation.
Right,
with
and some of it,
stuff like
he
that.
was referring to North Street and what we can do at North Street. So, I'm sorry, but that was the conversation I had with them. And the superintendent of the school did not know anything about this. This is on Tuesday. So all I'm saying is that we need to make sure that we are all looking at the same stuff, and if we wait 1 month, no one is gonna die because we didn't order this or get this grant approved
It's
this
not no
month.
one that's gonna die, it's the grant itself. I know from the playground outside, there's deadlines, and mine was on a very specific deadline of when you got your application in, when they reviewed it, when you got your funds, and when you put it in by.
I
And that's
understand
what
that.
he's going for, and I'm just saying, like, he's
Anything the school is
passionate for it, and I
doing,
get
too.
you guys just got it or whatever, but we're on a deadline, like, for money purposes, I believe, especially with everything that's going on in our counties because of everything else that's going on.
The Wattis Foundation is something that has a lot of money, so they're not spending their investments, they're spending the profit off their investments, that's what they're donating. I did some research also, Jackie made some phone calls, so we're aware of the process. And if we say, as a board, I'm saying, I would like to be able to sit and digest this and make sure that we're all on the same page. We also just found out there is an issue with the roof load. So I want to make sure that that's okay before we lay down a new floor in there. That's just stuff that I feel we have to do. That's all.
With the roof load that got brought up, I'm not comfortable with anybody going in that building right now until it's looked at by somebody. And we need to either heat it, or we need to figure it out, or not use it, I don't know.
So are you gonna allow Snowfest to go in there?
But-
Because we just said it's rented for Snowfest, so
Right.
they can go in
Oh,
there,
Pink
right?
Red
Right now, I'm
is
saying it's
first.
dangerous,
Pink
period.
Rider.
And
I'm
we'll
saying
roll
it's
up the
dangerous.
turf.
No, they said it.
If we have to, I I can cancel Big River Riders if we have to. I can call them right up. That's not an issue.
The fact that it hasn't been brought up until now, the roof load, it's been
Well,
like that
it
for
was
many
because it was
years.
just, I didn't know anything about it until he brought Andy over to look at hanging 3,000 pounds off the roof. And that's when it was brought to our attention. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
had no idea before.
that opened a whole can of worms. That wasn't anything any of us were even thought would happen.
So we have
I'm
a
all about
responsibility.
using the rec center more. I'm all about this floor. I'm all about it.
Yeah, just
But the bill-
in anticipation of it had collapsing before, one would have thought this would already have been thought out many years ago.
It
Well,
was built to
it's-
1997 standards.
There's still a roof load in
But
1997.
it was designed to be heated. The building itself was always supposed to be heated. It's in the plans with Jason from Tower Construction.
Well, it's never been heated, so.
I know.
I mean, don't go backwards. It's never been
Right.
heated, so we can't go backwards. We've never
You can't
heated it.
change what is.
Except for Snowfest and Snow Day are the only time.
The only thing we can do, you guys, is try to fix it. I mean, really, and that's really what we're here for. We need to fix stuff. We're all about the floor. We're not at all against it.
I wonder even if this grant at all might cover some of that if there's an alternative solution. Like
Absolutely.
if there's you know, heated tiles that you can put up on the roof or something that like decrease that snow load. Wattis might actually come and say, hey, if you're using this as you know, this is an additional $50,000, but now this is usable space. If we get the quotes for it, they may say, okay, you know, we could use these monies potentially to help with that.
I think tomorrow, I'm assuming, there'll be a phone call to our codes and find out exactly what the deal is, if this is a you know, true hazard, the way it's running right now, and identify how to, you know, the forms of fixing it, and that'll be the first step, and then hopefully it's not as big of a deal as we just don't know until we ask, you know, and this is all new to us too, so, but I think we'll get an answer pretty quick as to what the next step is gonna be.
Yeah.
She'll get you an
And
answer.
then either we have the money to do it or we don't right now.
That's a building heated.
So,
It's not that easy, we haven't budgeted to heat it. It's what Nancy said, you know, it could be $200 a day, so we can't just
I understand.
start that tomorrow.
so, but the process will start on that tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yes.
As to,
So can we put that on the
Start
agenda
moving
for March
forward on it
meeting
tomorrow, and then
all
we'll
that?
discuss it again. We'll just keep daily moving on it, see what's going
or
on.
meet on Monday too, so. So I'm sure there'll be more discussion too.
Yes, ma'am.
Bonnie, I'm very new to this too, so I'm just applying for a grant and laying a floor down seem like two very different things to me. So if you had applied for the grant, worst case scenario, somebody doesn't want it and you guys vote against it, well, what, is there any harm for applying?
We have to
for
pass a
that?
resolution to apply for that grant.
There's a timing issue.
Well, there's,
Right,
what is
am
it,
I
we
right
get
on that?
6 months to 12, 6 months to a year to do the work, once we get approved for the grant, right?
Yep, exactly. Once you're approved for the grant, you have six months to begin construction. And with COVID, they've given an additional 6 months for completion in some cases, but the 6-month deadline has kind of been,
So if
that's
we were
really the
to,
only stipulation with this.
if we were to deem you know, we gotta tear it down, it's not safe. Oh, okay, here you go, Wattis Foundation, didn't work out, you know, return the money. Is what I'm thinking. That, again, this is just to apply for it, and again, I know there's stuff that goes into it and a process, I understand that. But
So, but it isn't just the floor, because it's instantly going to be the uses that are involved, and that's where, you know, I have a problem, because we don't have a plan. You have a plan, we don't have a plan.
I gave you, I mean,
You have a plan.
yeah.
The board has not looked at it. We haven't involved all the partners that utilize that building. It's just, I just want to do the process the right way and make sure that we are looking at all the things that need to be dealt with before we say, move forward. That's pretty easy, in my opinion.
Maybe we should get a board together for this, so we can start having more than one person working on this. Because you're doing a lot of work by yourself, and if we had a board working on it, we could maybe move forward quicker.
Yeah, I mean, from a facility standpoint, I mean, it's just a matter of, you know, what's left out of what you have in that packet in front of you, and then just, I guess, find out what we're missing and what we're lacking.
Right.
and
My main
attack that.
concern is the building right now, the construction of the building. So I'll look into that tomorrow.
Which wasn't even a consideration
It didn't even,
until tonight. All the other things were, you know, all just kind of simple questions, but.
Well,
This is the real-
the
this is
whole,
the
the
real
whole
question.
point was because because we knew that heat was gonna be the issue, okay? We don't wanna do this floor, we're gonna have all these uses, who's gonna pay to heat the place to let kids in there often? Who's gonna pay to heat it? Well, the thinking is, we're supposed to be heating it anyway. That's why that was brought up.
But we
Well,
haven't
that
been.
was a major
We haven't
curveball.
been. We can't change what is.
100%.
We haven't budgeted for it because we haven't been.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
get
that we were
that.
supposed to heat it. You didn't know until you read this paper.
Winter is gonna be over in a month and a half, 2 months.
Then
So
we
this
won't need
floor-
to heat it.
This floor is not gonna be down for at least that. So that's my thinking there too, like, we're not gonna have to worry about heat. And I'm just asking for permission to apply for a grant. And that's what it is. We have all this time frame to
The question, but you have
to not
to,
accept it.
you have to go just a touch farther than that. And I think Barb was trying to touch on that. Get a grant, you put a floor down. That leads to all the other questions that I think are out there. Who's opening and closing this place? Who's cleaning this place?
You got all that.
Who's doing all that?
All in that
Don't you have
packet.
to have the approval first
All in that.
to get the
You
grant?
gotta do all that,
But
but
none of this makes a difference if you don't get a grant.
Yeah.
He's just
correct.
asking for
If
the
we don't get a grant, we're not
He's
doing
just
anything.
asking for an application.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those things in place, then the grant is useless. It's, you can have a floor in there and not use it.
It won't change the current procedure, what we have currently,
Right,
right
right.
now.
We don't know that until we have other parties besides just you.
okay, so
that
this
get
is
to
what's
talk.
gonna happen. I'm gonna call zoning tomorrow and I'm gonna figure out what's going on with the building. We're gonna form a committee for this, cause we need a committee. We can't just go in there raw, and I'm not saying you're going in there raw. You've done a ton of work. And I want to apply for this grant. I do.
So what's stopping us? If you all want,
Excuse me,
I understand, but
No,
you all
the
said the same
supervisor-
thing. You all said that you want the floor down. All she's asking for is to get approval, to
and
go
it's
forward.
a monthly revolving grant, and it is not that urgent that we have to make this decision tonight when something else has been brought to light about the building.
Anybody else? Kyle, you've been sitting there quiet as can be. I know you got something on your list.
I have to applaud you, Tom. You did what I thought great work on that packet. I had a small time to look through it. I get what the board's saying. I was also made aware of the issue with North Street tonight with the roof load. Here's my thought on it. Flooring's a great idea. Multi-use facility. That's what it should always have been. My problem is, my concern, I know it's the board's concern, and if anyone has any thought about it, yes, it hasn't happened since the last pavilion. But the what if? The roof load, as of right now, right, sits at 60,
79.
79?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, yes.
Then it drops down to 52 with heat.
58, when it's heated,
58
it
with
drops
heat.
to 58.
That's a concern. If we actually had a winter with a lot of snowfall, that poses a lot of risk. Having people go in and out of that place is a huge liability, not only for the town, but for everyone connected to the town. What the board is trying to do, yes, they want the flooring, but there is a due process, and with being made aware of the structural issues tonight, as far as that pavilion goes, the first step is to rectify those problems before anything else gets done with that building. Whether it be purchasing flooring or painting the side of the building. You need to figure out where you need to go to make it right. And going to codes tomorrow would be the first step that I would take personally. It's just a safety factor. God forbid anybody in this room was in there and something happened. It would be devastating. I'm all for, I stand behind Tommy's idea. I stand behind any idea that goes into that building.
And I agree
But
with you. I
safety
just-
is number one concern.
And I agree with you. I think things can go in parallel though.
I just wonder, I mean, my short experience with grants is usually you have to have the boxes checked off, so if the building's in question, I would think that the foundation, it's not gonna receive as high of a rating if we have all the answers. If we have the answers saying that the building is, like right now, if they asked us, no, the building's not safe potentially, according to this quick thing. So what I have learned, and this seems like it's foundation, so it's a little different, it's a lot different actually, but you want to be able to check all the boxes and have a thing where if they do give the money, they want to know that it is actually going to go down. So right now, specifically because of potentially closing, I mean, basically it's closing right now. I guess officially it's probably closed until we know further
Yep.
It is?
what the reality is.
Yep.
It is?
I mean, if there's a concern, if it's truly a concern of that roof falling in, it's been brought to light,
Building closed.
it's been public. I mean, I would think that this is, it might change tomorrow. If Andy turns around and says, no, it qualifies because of this X, Y, and Z, then okay, great, you know. But I just think that we have to be able to check the boxes, right? Am I wrong or?
Oh, you're right.
I agree, but in parallel, doesn't hurt anything.
No, I'm just saying, like, I wonder if you don't get, like, they might not give you the full amount, thinking that they're not, you know, if you don't have the.
If you don't put it in, you'll never know. So,
I can put it in more.
Our plan is to put it in. We just can't do it with a building like that right now. Anybody else?
Can you put it
Back
in
row?
one?
Anybody?
Yeah, she can.
You can keep putting in, correct?
Yeah, there's no due date. They do it a month. It's a monthly review. The question that I guess the urgency is that maybe, and I don't know the details on this actually, but if they have X amount of money they spend in a year, each month it keeps getting chipped away at. And I think that's what the concern is, of the urgency of doing it for now. I have no idea how much money's there or whatever.
I can give you a little bit of detail. They give away about $800,000 a year for indoor and sport-related things with youth under the age of 18. You're allowed multiple applications, so if there is somebody else that's applying at the school or if there's something else in the town, there's no regional earmarks, which is good. They didn't say that we couldn't get all $800,000 as a town if we had a worthy project. Essentially, it doesn't require any monies from the town itself. Usually with a grant, you know, the town would need to pay for the stuff first, and then you reimburse that monies. This is really unique in that they effectively give you the money up front, which is kind of incredible for a grant. It's not a match grant, which usually with a grant you've got to put in a certain percentage of the cost of the project, whether it's 20 or 25% or 50%. This is interesting in that there's no match grant at all. So if they award you $150,000, they give you $150,000, and all they want is the receipts of you spending that $150,000 on the thing that you had intended to spend it on. Again, really unique in grants. You don't really see that kind of flexibility. Vicki seemed really excited about this project, and so I think it was good to hear that she had wanted to get in the web for some time. Personally, she's from Remsen area, and so was really behind the project, which was awesome to hear. What else do I have down here? The administration was pretty simple. They didn't have a lot of hoops to jump through or things that you needed to follow other than municipal law. So if part of it is procurement and you guys need to go through, you know, RFPs for multiple installers, it's the only hoops to jump through are the municipal acquisition hoops. There wasn't additional requirements or you're submitting usage amounts or some other kind of metric. I think that was pretty much it as far as what it is. Oh, and the last piece of it is that which was interesting about this grant is they called it a wish list grant, or she called it a wish list grant. So you know, a lot of times with the grant you put in for your amount of money, it's binary. They decide yes or no. In this particular grant, you could put in for 10 things. We want a floor, we want a basketball hoop, we want to buy 400 basketballs, and we want to, you know, pay for the heat for a year. And they can go through that and say, okay, we're going to pay for these 5 things. We're not going to pay for these 5 things. Do you want the money or not want the money? Which is, again, is very unique in the grant world. So first off, kudos for finding this foundation, which is absolutely it's just very, very, I mean, I've looked through like 70 grants in the last couple of months, and I've just never seen one like this. So it does afford a level of flexibility. Really the only thing is the 6 months to construction. That's it. So as long as you're like ready to hit the ground floor running, once you're given the go ahead at 6 months, that's really the only thing that's required. I don't know how they'd feel about the building situation, however. So I mean, it's something that maybe we could talk to Vicky about and see if that's contingent at all. She may say, if you guys get it figured out, we don't care. So.
And is this a vote or is this a nod or is it like
No,
when it
it's-
comes time for that? Is it,
What's that?
no, I'm just saying like, how does it work with the board on something like this? Is it
Is it a
not that I'm saying we're doing it
resolution?
right now, I'm just saying,
Probably have to be a resolution.
It's a resolution
It's a resolution to apply for the grant.
to apply for the grant.
that's all I just,
Yep.
that's a question
Which
I
we
had.
aren't doing, right?
Anybody else? Yep, Linda.
Super quick one again. It's just a historical note. I have no opinion on a digital sign, but I do know that View applied for a digital sign. It did not flash, it did not scroll, it would literally read. And they were not granted approval from that planning board at that time, which I would say was probably about 2012. I would check with the planning board and just see what you got for digital signs passing or not passing, but I know that one didn't pass in this community.
Yeah, I
It
think
would- it
we
wouldn't
allow
then,
the other.
because it's, you can't.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
With the map, what was that, the map, you told us about that North Street map,
Mhm.
application.
Amendment, yep.
Application, sorry about that.
Yep, no, I couldn't think of the word either.
What property is that,
So that'll be the property on the left-hand side before the Packer Shack.
okay,
So there's that 55 acres that goes back in there. That's what they're trying to put into that.
very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right. I'd like a motion to pay the audit of claims.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do it. Heck yeah.
All in favor? Yeah, Tommy. Thank you very much for coming.